This program and its contents are designed for information and educational purposes only. This program does not render medical advice or professional services and is not intended to be a substitute for professional care. The information provided here should not be used for the purposes of diagnosing or treating a medical or psychiatric condition. If you have or suspect you may have a health problem, consult your healthcare provider.
Hello, welcome to Spirit Works. I'm Theresa Falk. This is Denise Schumacher of Healing Abundantly. She is an emotion code, body code practitioner. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Theresa.
I am glad you're here. Share with us what body code emotion code is.
So it is a modality that uses muscle testing as a form to talk to your subconscious mind to find out what's going on.
Show us, what does that mean? What is muscle testing?
So our body has an innate way. If our muscles are strong, it's usually a yes answer. So if my name is Denise, I can put my fingers together and I cannot pull them apart because my name is Denise.
Right.
If I say my name is George, I can't keep them together.
Because your energy dictates.
Yes.
Okay.
My energy is not named George.
Okay.
My energy is Denise. So that way I can get yes and no answers, so I can ask questions as to what's going on in the body, what's emotionally holding you back.
And what does that mean? How do you know? Where does that emotion sit? Where does that energy evolve in the body to?
Okay, so we process emotions all the time.
Okay.
We're very, every emotion has its own energetic vibration. And so the body will, if we can't process the emotion correctly, if we don't have the coping mechanisms, then what happens is a lot of times we stuff it. We hold it inside of ourselves.
Okay.
So then after a while, it can start causing irritation in the body or the body not being balanced. So what I do is I go in and I start asking the subconscious mind through muscle testing how and where the issue is, what the issue is.
Do you have some intuitiveness that goes along with the muscle testing?
Yes, I usually can tell by words you say, and I can feel a lot of the times what's going on. I can feel if it's not releasing. I can feel where we need to go.
Awesome. My next question is, this is an awesome modality. How do you know that you had this? What gave you the clues that you were a healer?
Well, I read the book, The Emotion Code.
Okay.
And it opened my eyes. I immediately figured out what I wanted to be when I grew up. It
fit you and everything you were going through in your life?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. That's awesome. What were you going through in your life that made you read this?
So I myself had been circling the drain because I had been on a long-term process of healing my daughter. We had a near-death experience with my daughter. I spent a very, very long night holding her in my arms as she was dying. And thank the Lord, she did not die. But it put us on this new holistic way of healing. I wanted to know why. I wanted to know what was going on inside of her that created this in the first place.
Right.
And so we were working really hard, seeing different doctors, trying different modalities, and I was so scared because of everything that had happened that I wasn't relaxed. I wasn't trusting anything, and I took everything on and I held it within my side. It just kept building and building and building. And so as she was getting better, I was getting worse. Oh. And so my friend shared this book with me and I read it, and I finally had some power back. I could do something on my own. And I would immediately go and muscle test an emotion, and it would just come immediately what time and place I was at in my life when this was trapped. And then I had the ability to release it and finally let it go.
Do you need to be aware of that situational time, or is that not as important as just getting rid of the energy?
Nope. That's the neat part about it.
Awesome.
Some people remember, some people don't. Sometimes it's better if you don't. It's because the whole idea is to let it go and let it be released.
Right.
You've carried it along way too long, and it's time to let this energy go so that you can step back into your power and you can create and design a life of joy and happiness.
Now your daughter was how old when this
She
journey
was
began?
3 or 4 years old.
And you said that we had talked earlier, and you said that she had toxicity in her body.
Yes.
And all the doctors that she saw just kept adding to that. Can you explain that a little bit?
Well, her body didn't detox properly.
Okay.
So, and unbeknownst to many doctors, nobody really understood the bottom line of what was going on. So they were trying to help her, but her body had just shut down. It had stopped detoxing properly. So we finally found the path, and it's intuitive, right? I mean, I can't tell you how many times I was going one direction and all of a sudden I got pushed into a new direction because I kept wanting to know why. And I kept putting that energy out there. I want to know why. I'm not going to heal her, but she is going to be healed.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So I never gave up on that. I never stopped believing that. I didn't care how bad it got. I just kept that design and that drive that she was going to be healed. And it led me to the emotion coding and body coding. And it led us to doctors who finally could figure out that her body wasn't detoxing. But what happened is so she's already behind because she's 3, 4 years old, and she's had a couple of years of this happening. A lot of the toxins were in the brain, and so it interfered with development. So we went back and she worked hard. She was an amazing warrior. And we started getting the body back in balance, the physical body. But we didn't deal with the spiritual body. And so I had gotten her quite a ways, but I couldn't get her all to where I really needed her to be. And so that's where the emotion code and body code really came in, because I was able to deal with the physical things that were still happening, but really go to that spiritual body that had taken so much abuse in some ways because of all the hard things she had to go through.
Right. And she couldn't express that of what she was experiencing.
No, she could not.
So when did you realize that this was working for her and you were helping to release this?
Oh my gosh, she calmed down, I calmed down. My husband and I weren't fighting as much anymore.
Yes.
It just the house just started to breathe again.
Yes.
It just the energy. I would go in and I would work on myself for a little while, or I'd work on her, and then I'd come out and I'd be talking, and things that normally might set my husband and I off, trigger each other. All of a sudden, it was no big deal.
You knew you were safe.
Yeah.
You were in the right place.
Yeah. So, and with her, there was one time she had this horrible ear infection. And because she doesn't detox properly, I'm really careful as to what I want to give her for it. So I was trying to do as much as I could that was holistic. And the poor thing was just crying. And so I started coding her. And all of a sudden, I found one emotion, and it was trapped in her ear area, and I released it, and she immediately fell asleep.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I'm like, this works.
Yes, this does work.
And so somehow something got trapped, and we were able to let that go and give her some peace. And her body was, her body's way of telling us was through pain and through different imbalances that were going on, because that's the only way our bodies have to talk to us.
I keep seeing your heart with her heart when you're holding her. I just feel that big a big red heart of that love when you're holding her.
I would walk through fire for her.
Yeah, that energy is just entering her.
Yes.
That is phenomenal.
She's amazing. She's
Now,
truly amazing.
Can we bring some of these emotions with us from lifetime to lifetime?
Oh, yes. Absolutely. They can become ancestral. An ancestor will feel something so intensely, and that emotion will get stuck, and it almost, I feel like, gets into the DNA, and it goes down the family line.
Okay.
And so what you're able to do is, and this is the beauty of this, is you can help start healing some of the family line, and that's awesome.
That's way awesome. Because that helps each person in that line.
Yes.
As they are each lifetime through each lifetime, right?
Yes.
Awesome.
I've had many times I've worked with a client and they'll call me back and their kids all of a sudden aren't scared to go into the basement and it's dark. My mom, I'll work on my daughter and my mom will call me and she'll be like, I'm not feeling that great. And I say, well, I was working on, she goes, oh, I'll just take a nap. And she'll call me back later and say, I feel great, thank you.
Wow.
You know, you just heal and she just have to have some time to let it all process out. You know, because you're
Yep.
finally releasing that energy. And if it's been in there for a while, your body needs some time to kind of allow it and get it back into balance again.
Do you have layers that you have to go through within that same
We're
emotion?
peeling the onion.
Like peeling an onion.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. Sometimes we can knock it out of the park right away, and sometimes it takes some time. But it's well worth it because it's so multifaceted, it's amazing. I can't tell you how many times I'll be working on abundance with somebody, and they'll call me and tell me that their back pain got better. And I didn't even know they had back pain,
Right?
you know?
Yes.
And that's amazing.
Can you experience any physical where you're sick because your body's detoxing and getting rid of this emotion? Does that make sense?
No.
When you are releasing and detoxing after you remove this emotion, can your body not feel good, like fluey, as
Yeah.
it's working through it?
Yes.
Yeah.
It can be, you would be very tired.
Okay.
People can be kind of crabby afterwards as it's working itself out. Because like I said, the whole premise is you get that energy out that's interfering with how the body naturally is supposed to work.
Yes.
And so then the body starts going back into more balance. It gets more in flow, right? It's doing what it's supposed to do. Well, and when it can do what it's supposed to do easily, then it's going to start noticing things that maybe it hasn't been noticing before.
Okay.
So if you have toxins or something and the body's so overloaded in that area,
Yeah.
sometimes it's just doing what it can every day just to get done what it needs to get done. So it's not paying attention to all the extra stuff. The immune system.
Right.
You know, you can test the immune system, see how it's working, and you bring it up, and you get the immune system, you pull out the emotions that are pulling it down, and all of a sudden the immune system starts seeing these little bacteria that aren't supposed to be there. And it's like, no, and it's
need to
gone.
get rid of you.
You do. And so you might, but it's worth it because you want your body to be working at it's the most efficient way that
Right.
it can. So you want to get rid of that stuff.
So will your body tell you, I'm assuming, you get rid of one toxin or one energy, another one will just show itself,
It will. It's all in layers,
which
right?
your body's ready to get rid of.
Your body
And
will
then
not release anything it's not ready to release.
Okay.
That's the safety about the process. That's what I love. I know that I can never go any deeper than where you're willing and ready to go.
Okay.
And you have to be safe. And your subconscious has to feel safe. And so if some trauma happened in your life that's really, really deep, I can't go straight to it sometimes.
I would think that would mess up the body a little bit.
It does.
Because that's pretty deep. That's
Yeah, and you don't want to do that. You want to work through it. It's set up protection. It's set up protective barriers. That's why you're peeling the onion. That's why you've got the layers. You want to be able to go in and work with the body to bring it back into balance.
And I'm a believer, and tell me if you feel this way, we are born with what we are going to go through in this lifetime. And our body's not going to be ready to release things that we still have to experience.
Right.
And we'll get rid of the stuff we don't need anymore that we've achieved within that same onion of layering.
Right. The neat thing, though, is you can help yourself through this process get rid of the parts that aren't helping you in this journey you need to go on.
Yes.
That's the beauty of it.
The nature nurture, the stuff that comes to you that is not yours to hold on to.
Right, because there's sometimes we just get really stuck. You know, it's like a rut in the street, right?
Right.
And we'll just get really, really stuck, and we do want to go, down one street, but we're just stuck. And so we need to be able to sometimes release some of this extra emotions, extra energy that's interfering, so that we can all of a sudden see that we aren't perceiving things maybe the way they really are. We get, it was really fun. I had one client, she called me and she goes, it's like all of a sudden I could understand what the self-help books were telling me.
Oh, that's awesome.
She goes, I was reading them, but I couldn't understand the words. So we got rid of some of that energy that was interfering with where she was wanting to go.
Mm-hmm.
And it allowed her to all of a sudden see. She still had the journey to be on, and she still had to do, I don't like to say work, but she still had to do the process.
Right.
But it made it so much easier, in a sense, to do it, because she didn't have to keep fighting that.
That is so phenomenal.
Yeah, it's been amazing.
I'm going to switch lanes just a little bit. Tell us how your daughter's doing now, because she's 11, right?
Yeah.
How is she doing now?
She's amazing. I tell you, she's a little warrior. She is here to stir the pot. I love her. She is in a full functioning school. I was told that she would never be able, it would be very hard for her to read. And don't ever tell me something that I can't do, right? Because I don't like that.
Well, it shows on her whole.
Right. And so it was an amazing process. I didn't say that I want to go through it again, but I learned so much about myself. I learned so much about her. My husband was supporting through the whole process, and I can never thank him enough, because I know there were times he didn't know what we were doing, but he still supported it, and that was, I don't even have the words for the gratitude I have for him for that. But she is in a full functioning school, reading up to reading grade level.
Awesome.
When they told us they didn't think she'd ever be able to read, she's playing volleyball. If she wants to do something, she can do it. There's no stopping her. She's a little warrior.
And we all go through the fires of hell of what our passion is. We have to walk the walk before we can talk the talk. She is a warrior, is the same way.
Yeah.
She's a starseed child. She is here to help the vibrations, as are you with everything you went through.
And she's here to help people learn, because she doesn't fit in a box. And so you really do, she can design her life. And sometimes I don't even have the words for what I know she's going to do.
Yep.
But for the first time in my life, I don't worry about her anymore. I know she'll be fine. Mm-hmm. And I cannot say that I felt that for many years.
For a long time.
Yeah.
That is phenomenal.
So, yeah, it's so, we were able to get her to a certain point, then the emotion code and body code, we were able to kick in and work with her on that. Mm-hmm. And it's just always so fun to see, because I'll work on myself on something, and then all of a sudden she'll tell me something that doesn't bother her anymore. And it's amazing, because the energy, we use each other's energies all the time, and we don't even realize it.
Right.
It's quantum physics. Mm-hmm. That's why I'm able to do what I can do, and that's why I'm able to do it remotely. I have people I work with in England, people all over the United States. I'm not limited.
Right.
Because we're constantly communicating on an energetic level.
Right. We just had that energy cord that we connect with other people.
Right. So I work on me, I work on her, she helps me, I help her. It's a symbiotic. It's awesome.
So for those that are watching us and might have a question, can they muscle test and ask why they are feeling so crappy? Or why does their kidney hurt? Or...
They can. Anybody can muscle test themselves if they believe they can do it.
Right.
A lot of times you have to get yourself out of the way and just trust you can do it.
Exactly. Put our humanness aside and let spirit guide us. Absolutely.
Exactly. And just trust that that's the answer. I cannot tell you how many times I'll get an answer and I'll be like, I don't know. I'm not seeing it, but I just have to trust.
I call that being on spirit's radar. They know. We don't know yet, but that's where we have to have that faith.
But it always circles back around, and by the end, it makes complete sense as to why we went that direction. Well, so I never doubt that.
Absolutely, I agree with you. Going back to that person, let's say someone's having a kidney issue, and they're muscle testing, and it says kidney. they may not know what it is, but they're very trusting. Can they ask their angels to take that energy away and allow them to feel better?
Well, it's energy, yeah.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
It's
Replace
our-
it with positive, loving energy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I do have a very detailed application that I use that
Okay.
goes into the organs, into the muscles, and it goes into emotions, and it's very valuable information because it'll tell you what age and what emotion was trapped, which can be very helpful for understanding why this issue keeps popping up.
So even as someone at home, if they just need to just release, but they still need to see someone that can help them figure out
Right.
where it's coming from and why it's there, which I think helps us understand better.
Right. I always tell everybody, do as much of the work as you can on your own and let me do the heavy hitting.
I love that. Absolutely. That
You
makes
know what I
perfect
mean?
sense.
Because I wanted power back in our lives. I was tired of waiting for the shoe to drop all the time. I needed something. And that gave me the ability to have the power back in our lives.
And I've always said, when physically doctors cannot find what's going on, it is a spiritual issue that needs to be removed.
It's very emotionally based, yes. Yeah, absolutely. It's, there's so much behind our belief systems
Yes.
that is amazing. And we don't even realize it. The subconscious is amazing. It makes 90% of our decisions every single day. And it can run programs so fast in the background. Let's put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so fast we don't even know it. It's so the thoughts will flee, just go right through so fast, and we won't even realize it. We'll be super excited about something, and within a couple seconds, our subconscious has knocked us down, and it's like, no, you can't do that. No, it's too scary. It's not safe. And our subconscious mind is amazing, and its only job is to keep us safe.
Right. And it sometimes protects us in all the wrong ways for all the wrong reasons.
Right, but with the wanting to be safe.
Right. But with the
Doesn't-
emotion code, body code, it helps it to understand
Right,
that there's a reasoning.
yes. So what I do is I go in and I look for limiting belief systems on people. And we go in and we unravel why they were created in the first place. A lot of it's childhood, ancestral ties, and then things that have happened in our early adult. It can even be, it doesn't matter. It can be at any age. But I want to go in and help you to understand why things are stopping you, why they're holding you back, and then release that energy that triggers you every time it happens. Or you get into a situation that seems the same as the one.
Something that triggers it that has something to do with the past, that
Yes.
has nothing to do with what's happening now.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So, and then you pull that energy out of that emotion. You still remember everything. You still know what happened, but you don't feel the same. It doesn't hold you back as much. You can, I have many people, they'll read a statement to me and they'll just tell me they have a knot in their stomach. And then we work on them. And then I have them say it again, and it'll be like, it's no big deal. And then they can go out and just start facing some of their fears and start doing things that they want to do again, to start living life again.
That is awesome.
Yeah, it's fabulous. I love it.
I know you do. And we know when it's our passion, you just light up.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
My last question to you, and it's kind of a statement more than a question, is what would you like to tell the audience to trust themselves and to, even if they are afraid, what can you guide them with?
You do have to trust yourself. You have to dig deep and connect with your inner light, your inner being, your spiritual side, the part that's never going to die, right?
It's never going to hurt you.
No, it's not. You are safe. And nothing will ever, you will never, in any energy work that you do with the emotion code and body code, you will never go past any point that isn't safe. And you are only going to release energy that's going to hold you back from things. And it's it's really amazing because people will come to me and you can tell they're nervous, and then they'll finish up and they're like, I just can't even believe it. And
so, yeah, they can be shut down a little bit, and
Yeah.
you're still able
Yes.
to remove that for them and have them realize.
right, because you meet them where they're at,
Right.
and then you work back.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah, and you do what they're willing to do and what they're prepared to do. And you can't, the Spirit comes through and it takes care of them and it keeps them safe. And it only helps.
It has been awesome sharing this with you. Thank you very much for spending this time with us.
Thanks for taking the time. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Right.
Thank you for being here with us and sharing this time with us.